Let's quickly talk Arsenal then. The pre-season tour is underway, and so far, so good for the Gunners. Beat AC Milan 1-0 and then randomly lost on a penalty shootout in the same game because it's pre-season, and even though you win, you have a penalty shootout as well. And then beat Newcastle 3-2 as well. They take on Tottenham Hotspur on Thursday in that North London derby in Hong Kong. What have you made of Arsenal's transfer business, Rory? I mean, as an Arsenal fan, I'm loving it.
I think they've done very well up until this point, Arsenal. I think they've done very well up until this point. What will actually be the decider? Look, going out and signing Victor Gyökeres is huge. It's something that's noteworthy. It's something that they deserve an awful lot of credit for. And it could be defining. They needed to go and sign Gyökeres. Gyökeres was the most... he scored most goals in Europe. And Arsenal have gone out and they've signed a best-in-class player, which is what they needed to do. In my opinion, it's not enough. In my opinion, what they need to do now is marry up the signing of Victor Gyökeres, which is an inspirational signing, with more. If you look at the methodology employed by Liverpool, you look at what they've done. They've gone out and they've signed a best-in-class player, but not only have they gone out and they signed a best-in-class player, a statement signing in Florian Wirtz, they've also tweaked their squad where they needed to tweak their squad. They've gone and signed someone like Gyökeres. What they also need to do, Arsenal, is, I think, the differentiator between Arsenal being a good team who will finish in the top four, or a team totally capable of being the who's in the ears of Liverpool all the way to the end of the season. I think it's so easy.
Go on.
You go and you sign Eberechi Eze.
Exactly what I was going to say. Look, I know it's really easy as fans to be like, this one player can change everything and blah, blah, blah. And loads of people have said that for years about the striker. I mean, for a long time at Arsenal, it was all about a defensive midfielder. You know what I mean? When Patrick Vieira left, it was like we never replaced Patrick Vieira. But I really believe that last season should be enough evidence for Mikel Arteta and the hierarchy to realise that we can't rely solely on Martin Odegaard. As great as he is, he had a fantastic season the season before last, right? Brilliant season. I mean, people were talking about, and I'm not doing the direct comparison here. I'm not saying, KDB and Odegaard. I'm not comparing the two, but people were talking about Martin Odegaard in the same, conversations as Kevin De Bruyne, which is amazing. But last season he went off the boil, and you need a plan B. And that's not to say that Eberechi Eze would be the plan B, but it's just something different. A proven Premier League creator, someone who's doing it for a club who score or create way less opportunities than a club like Arsenal. You bring Eze in alongside Martin Odegaard, and for me, I think that puts us, on another level in terms of staying up there with the likes of Liverpool. I mean, if Alexander Isak comes in at Liverpool, I still think it puts us, up there with Liverpool. I still make them favourites, don't get me wrong, but, I think that Eze signing is so important.
Yeah. Oh no, without the Eze signing, they don't win the league. I think what Eberechi Eze would do if he did end up playing for Arsenal, I think he would raise the tide. I think he would elevate everybody. I think all of a sudden Bukayo Saka's a better player because he's got somebody like Eberechi Eze in the team. And Eberechi Eze is probably the best player playing in the Premier League, who's Premier League proven, that is playing for a club that are still perceived, rightly or wrongly, as a selling club. Like Alexander Isak is probably the best player outside of the big six. He's the best player outside of the big six, but Liverpool are working on it, but it's going to be very hard to get him. What Eberechi Eze is, he represents the player that you could actually get that could be, I think that could be the differentiator for Arsenal. And if they get him, I think it really is game on for the Premier League title for Arsenal.
I have to agree. And look, it's funny, isn't it? We've just brushed over the fact that, Arsenal have signed Victor Gyökeres, finally. That deal's gone through. They've got that coveted number 9 that they've been waiting for such a long time, although he's taking the number 14, which at Arsenal, we know that shirt weighs heavy. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang wore that shirt, couldn't quite replicate the heroics of arguably Arsenal's greatest ever player. Theo Walcott wore the shirt, same thing. How do you think Gyökeres will get on in the number 14 jersey for Arsenal?
Gyökeres, what I would say with regards to Victor Gyökeres, whether it works or whether it doesn't work, I feel like Arsenal have done the right thing. They've gone out and they've signed a player who is the best in class. The top goal scorer in Europe last year was Victor Gyökeres. Arsenal had a gaping hole. They've had a problem position up front. They've been searching for a striker for well over a year now, and they've gone out and they've signed the player that they believe will fix that. And the data suggests that they have signed the best player. Even if it doesn't work, Arsenal have done the right thing and they've approached it in the right way. In terms of will it work, I believe that it probably will, but I don't necessarily think that people have been questioning it the way that it deserves to be questioned, because scoring goals in the Portuguese league, whilst the record is unbelievable, 98 goals in 102 games, that is
unreal.
Significant, right? But it is only the Portuguese league. And I don't say that with any element of sneer or disrespect, but the facts of the matter are, it is only the Portuguese league. Frankly, I believe Victor Gyokeres will land in the Premier League, will score goals in the Premier League, and will be a good Premier League player for Arsenal and potentially a title winner with Arsenal. But there is a little bit of jeopardy there, surely, just because the track record is Portugal.
You're getting me excited, Roy. You're getting me excited, mate. You can't talk like that. Mikel Arteta, then. Let's talk about the Arsenal gaffer. Because a lot of people, and this isn't just this season, a lot of people have been questioning Mikel Arteta in terms of, has he taken Arsenal as far as he can? So I'm guessing the question that I'm going to throw at you, Rory, is do you think this season is Mikel Arteta's last chance? Does he need to win a major trophy?
Yes, I think he does. I think it's more complex than you've positioned it, though, and I know that you've positioned it with the top line there. But I think that there is, of course, a world where Mikel Arteta could have an excellent season next year and not win any silverware. The problem that he's got is, I think this team have been so good for so long that they need a defining moment. Every good team has something that defines them. The reason why we look back on various teams over the years and we anoint them something is because they made that possible. The reason why we call Arsene Wenger's best team the Invincibles is because they did something that is historic. You've got the Man City Centurions, you've got the Manchester United treble winners, you've got the Man City treble winners, you've got Jose Mourinho's first team that accrued 95 points and retained the league title. You've got those moments in a season, and you've got those defining features. This Arsenal team, they don't have that. They've been brilliant, and we lived it, and we know that they were great. But there is a chance that this could go maybe the way Tottenham had a great team, didn't they? They had a great team, 16, 17, 18, and I think at various points they were the best team in the calendar year. But they have nothing to show for it. And ultimately that Tottenham team will be forgotten because history is always written by the winners. Yeah.
Do you think that there's something in... Obviously, Liverpool were off it the season before last, and then Slot's come... Well, he slotted straight in, hasn't he? And, won them the Premier League title in their first season. So, a title which some people argue should have been Arsenal's. If Manchester City weren't going to win it, it should have been Arsenal's to win. So do you think that's added pressure to this, Mikel Arteta needing to win a trophy?
I think so. I think it's cumulative. I think Arsenal, he's the manager of a really big club who have a proud track record of winning silverware over the years. Arsenal, not all his own fault at all, but Arsenal have gone over 2 decades now without a league title. For Arsenal to be the club that they want to be, if you go back to that David Rocastle quote about remember the badge on your shirt and what it represents, that is unacceptable for Arsenal. And Mikel Arteta has had a lot of time there now. He's had a lot of money there now, and he has done really well. I think what I'm about to say is going to sound very harsh on Mikel Arteta, so before I say it, what I want to acknowledge is I rate him really highly. I think what he has done, the way that he's turned Arsenal around, is so impressive. And when I see Arsenal, generally Arsenal fans online, maybe calling for his head or being disrespectful to Mikel Arteta, it doesn't chime with the way that I see the situation. I concede I'm looking at it from the outside in, but I think he's done a really good job. And if nothing else, he has turned Arsenal from a punchline into a serious football club. This time last year, well, not this time last year, a few months ago, Nick, I genuinely was fearful that Arsenal were going to win the European Cup. I was having real problems about it, and I thought when you beat Real Madrid home and away, I thought, oh my God, it's actually going to happen. And I was trying to rationalise how I could, I can't be in London on the day of the final, I've got to be out elsewhere or whatever because it was going to be hateful. That's all due to the brilliance of Mikel Arteta. However, the fact that Arne Slot came into a league and won it at the first attempt doesn't paint Mikel Arteta's tenure in the best possible colour. Yeah. Combine that with the fact that at the beginning of the season, this time last year, if we'd been saying, if I said to you, Nick, hypothetically, Man City will lose 11 out of 13 games and have a pig's ear of a season and will not win the league, who will win it? I think every man and his dog says Arsenal.
Yeah. Well, for what it's worth, I think he's got a little bit more credit in the bank.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.